This is Dakota News Now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Wright.
I'm Brian Allen. The South Dakota Attorney General's statement regarding Senator Jessica Castleberry cooperating to return $600,000 of COVID relief funds appears now to be opening the doors to question other lawmakers and their possible conduct.
I-Team reporter Beth Warden talks to a Harrisburg legislator who believes South Dakotans need to take a serious look at legislators and conflicts of interest.
South Dakota Freedom Caucus members strive to integrate their beliefs in government.
Principles when it comes down to scripture, the state constitution, federal constitution, and then the GOP platform.
Chairman and Representative Aaron Aylward of Harrisburg says he made a mistake his first year in office, voting on an educational bill while his wife is a teacher. He decided to recuse himself in the future and hopes others in the Republican Party will too.
There's some of us that believe now we need to shed a light on it.
Earlier this month, Governor Noem issued a proclamation identifying certain conflicts of interest among legislators.
Article 3, Section 12, it specifically says in there county or state contracts.
But Aylward believes the text needs to be put into action. The South Dakota Freedom Caucus released a statement voicing concerns about Senator Helene Duhamel as a Pennington County employee. Representative Roger Chase voicing his own concern of conflict of interest, yet voting on a workforce housing bill. Senator Randy Deibert as a Lawrence County commissioner. Senator Gary Kamek with personal legal issues. And Lieutenant Governor Larry Roden receiving income from the governor's hunt. One organization with strict regulations, if working as a legislator, is a state employee prohibited from voting on appropriations.
The bill that funds, state government or anything else involving that or her job.
Aylward believes those in the Capitol should no longer look the other way and encourage legislators to quit their conflicting employment or, in minor cases, take a walk when it's time to vote.
A good old boys network in Pierre?
There definitely is that.
In Sioux Falls, Beth Warden, Dakota News Now.
Our I-Team reached out to those named in the letter last Friday and received one response. It was from the governor's office regarding Lieutenant Governor Larry Roden's income from the governor's hunt. Spokesperson Ian Fury says the lieutenant governor was simply reimbursed for the cost of building brands. Other payments were travel reimbursements made to the lieutenant governor-elect for his official state travel during the transition and for the travel to the inauguration.
Switching gears now to the weather.